Peace Black family. I'm actually doing this video to invite you all to the Reparations March on the 14th of February 2019. We're going to close the British Embassy. The plan was to go to both the British and the Dutch Embassy, but I feel the British is what we need to close unless we are able to do that, both of us. So now, South Africans need to understand something. We want reparations, and we want it now. So let me give you a very clear instance. I'll keep repeating this because they say repetition is the master of all things. And I say this in all of my TV interviews. I say this in all of my radio interviews, and I'm going to say this now. If you have been colonized for 500 years, if you have been treated as subhumans, oppressed, dehumanized, castrated, incarcerated, raped for 500 years, and all you do when in the event of the material collapse of colonialism and apartheid is to forgive and forget. Yes, that's good. It's a good thing to build a new nation. But it can't be good if there's no reparations. The ANC inherited apartheid debt. And also the state bank account was empty. Today, the political elite says that they want to strive for land expropriation. But land expropriation is a legal concept. You're taking private property for state benefit. In other words, you are accrediting and endorsing land theft because the land don't belong to whites. So how do you expropriate it? Black people's land have been expropriated. So, of course, it is possible that the ANC might expropriate land. Are you listening to me? It is possible that the ANC might expropriate land to belong to the state. But that process is anti-black. It's not for blacks. It's anti-black. It doesn't frustrate capital. Let me show you how. They say they want to expropriate unoccupied land. And all land must belong to the state. And people must make submissions and tell the state what they want to do with the land. Let's first focus on mining. Mining in South Africa, the same Anglo-American company that trades in Botswana, that trades in Namibia, that trades in Zimbabwe. In Namibia, they're working hands in hands with the Namibian government. Under the state-owned enterprise known as Botswana, they go 50-50. In Botswana, and it's Namdeb Holdings, not Botswana. Botswana is in Botswana. In Botswana, again, they have a state arrangement. When they mine the diamond, it's known as the Beers. The Beers is owned by the Ruperts. I'm not sure if it's Ruperts. Yes, by the Ruperts. Now, they go hand in hand with the Botswana, which is a Namibian state-owned enterprise. It's 50-50%. They also pay tax after that 50-50%. In South Africa, Anglo-American De Beers control the diamonds completely with no state inclusion. It's their private property. And it is, what is the statement? It is believed that South Africa might be the richest country in the world. When we say Africa, South Africa is a strong South African economy. South Africa, Nigeria, in terms of the gross domestic product. In other words, remember, Africa is the richest continent in the planet, which means that South Africa have got a lot of wealth throughout Africa, because when we say it has got the biggest economy, we're not talking about on the basis of currency. We're talking about on the basis of the gross domestic product, on the basis of what we have, what the land has, what the mineral resource has. And our mineral resource is the biggest basic supplier of our wealth. So if you want land expropriation, even if it becomes successful, the state. It must belong to a state. So Cyril Ramaphosa is already selling out state-owned enterprises. So if they borrow money now from China, and if they borrow money from China, the state is a business that administers national assets. So if they borrow money from China, they fail to pay, China will take the land from the state. So if people, basic people, they say even rural land will belong to the state, which means we will pay in order to bury our loved ones. We will pay levies even in villages. We will play on the master's table. Remember, state can be taken at any point. We do not know what terms are involved with Cyril Ramaphosa borrowing $10 billion US from Saudi Arabia. We don't know on what basis, on what time is he borrowing. I'm not sure how many billions of dollars from China and all of that. He's a capitalist. He's a capitalist. A white man is a black body. So you'd be thinking that land expropriation is black people's struggle. It's not. Okay, let me say, for instance, the land was going to be returned to the people. Now, here will be another problem. We don't have machinery. We don't have money. In most cases, my primary focus when it comes to land, it's not necessarily property ownership, for which also plays a bigger role, but it's the wealth, the gross domestic product, the oil, the manganese, the chromium, the gold, the diamond, the coal, and all of this. I'm talking about the wealth of the country. Because if you're going to look at land in the basis of property, I mean, Europe have got property, America have got property, Australia have got property. So it's not so much a prestigious thing. It's also good for those who can be able to develop property. But now, if you take land, remember, if you take land from white people, they go back home. In most cases, they will never allow you to own land. You can never be with the white man and expect to be on top of the white man. They go back home. And then who will you sell the property to? They might sanction us. So-called AfriForum is already lobbying around white nationalist countries. They might lobby, go to the United Nations and put sanctions. And who will you sell the property to if you have property, for instance? You're black people. And you will want to benefit from that. So I don't see that as much prestigious. My number one primary asks this, okay, well, how much gold have been taken throughout 500 years of exploitation? We want it returned back. That's reparations right there. Queen Elizabeth's mansion is built out of gold, and in Europe there's no gold. We want that accountability for that. Land must become a part of the reparations program. More than 500 million black people killed. Some died when they were taken as slaves. They only talk about the Atlantic slave trade than West Africa. But I mean, here, you're talking about Britain and America. We're the same colonies. We're the same colonizers. It's Anglos. It's white people. America belongs to Britain in some way. So if Britain had so many colonies around Africa, and in Britain, the only slave that we are actually positioned and conditioned to think about is the one that took place in America. Atlantic slave trade to America, but I mean, you had slaves in England. Who built Europe? Black slaves, where do you think they came from? From British colonies, from Dutch colonies, and those of South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and all of this. You come and tell me that black people here in South Africa shouldn't be worried about slavery. We were never enslaved. Not only were we colonized, we were enslaved. Whilst we're suffering the depression of losing your mom while you went to the bush, when you come back home, you're taken to a plot, a white plot, forced to work from morning to night. Black women forced to do blowjobs to white men, to even wash white men's penis with their own mouth. Wake up in the morning and you have to wash it with your mouth. Not just an ordinary blowjob. That kind of suffering. When Jews were just oppressed for 10 years, it was not only Jews, black people were involved. They said it was 11 million people that Adolf Hitler killed, and in them there were 5 million Jews, and say the rest were others. In the whole world, when they say others, you must know it's your black skin. If it was white, they would have indicated. And reparations have been paid, continue to be paid, and look at how powerful the Jews have become. Black people too need to become powerful. Not only do we need land, we need the businesses that we have established. They must be able to serve us. We need property rights for all of the buildings. If you go in construction, you see black folk. We need the revisitation of this through the reparations committee. Reparations become an integral part of everything. I invite you to the reparations march on the 14th of February 2019. If you do not come to the reparations march, you deserve to suffer. You deserve poverty. You deserve oppression. You deserve recolonization through the name China. You do not owe nobody, no IMF or no China, no nobody. This must be paid by the reparations debt. That is true. Only now in black power.